Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. So, needless to say, you are all aware by this time that I have a thing for things. Um, and it's not because things really matter, it's the stories that get attached to them that often do. And I have the great pleasure today to invite my guest who I met, Elizabeth Barbour. Is that how you pronounce it? Barbour.
Barber, just like
Barbour.
ER.
Okay,
Yeah.
Barbour. Okay. Um, I had the great pleasure of meeting through a mutual project that we're part of. So we are both contributing authors to a book called Faces of Grief that is coming out in early December.
December. Yeah.
Yeah, December 2024. And so I think there's about 25 of us or so. I don't have the exact number, but I am grateful to have met Elizabeth. And then we connected a couple of months ago and realized that we're both doing, have lots in common. But I'm not going to go into that because hopefully she'll share some of that when it's her time. So anyway, without further ado, I want to welcome, I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to welcome Elizabeth to the show and tell part of this time together, our episode. So take it away, Elizabeth. I can't wait to see what you brought to show and tell.
Okay. Thanks. Well, it is really exciting to be here to share this story with you all. Just a little background on me. I live in Asheville, North Carolina. And yes, I'm okay. My family's safe. My home is okay. Yes, things are challenging, but we're doing the best we can. Um, so I grew up adopted. I was raised in Connecticut, was raised by my mom and dad, my adoptive parents, as an only child. And when I was 29 years old, I found my biological parents. I found my birth mom, my birth dad, and 11 half brothers and sisters.
Wow. Wow.
So just this past year, in April, we celebrated 25 years of living in reunion together, which has just been such a gift. I have relationships with everybody, with parents, grandparents, siblings, nieces, nephews, all of it. And it's been such a joy. So last year, my biological mom passed away at a very young age. She was in her young 70s and we weren't expecting it. And it was kind of a fluke illness. And so what I'm about to share with you has even more meaning because it comes from her family line. So my show and tell piece is I have this beautiful ring. It is an amethyst and gold filigree ring, and it has a little rose in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Okay, it's just beautiful. And you know how Marty, you said at the beginning you have a thing for things. Well, I have a thing for for bling. I have a thing for bling. And I've always loved jewelry. My first job was in a jewelry store when I was 16 years old. And actually the pieces given to me that I'm wearing today were given to me by my boyfriend. So, I love jewelry and I love the symbolism of it. So the story behind this ring is that when I met my birth mom in 1999, and I was having a visit with her probably around 2000, and I met her mother for the first time. So my maternal grandmother,
Yeah.
and her name is Marie, petite little woman, but really feisty and really powerful. And so we were sitting there talking, the three of us, and my grandmother said, "Oh, Kathy was my birth mom. Oh, Kathy, we know where the ring goes." And I was like, "The ring? What are we talking about?" And my mother, Kathy, she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, we do. This is so exciting." So the story of this ring is that my it has been passed down to all of the Elizabeths in my biological maternal line.
Oh,
Okay. So it started with I guess it would be my great grandmother. The ring was given to her by her brother, and I believe her name was Anna Elizabeth. And then he said, I'm giving you this ring on one condition, that you pass it on to all the Elizabeths in future generations. So then she gave it to her daughter, which I think was Catherine Elizabeth, and then gave it to my grandmother, who was Marie Elizabeth. And then she gave it to her daughter, who was June Elizabeth. So that would be my aunt.
Um,
So then you get to my generation. So I have, I don't even know exactly how many, 15 or 16 first cousins. So my birth mom was one of four kids. None of them named their children Elizabeth.
wow.
And I was adopted out and I was named Elizabeth by my adoptive parents.
Oh, oh, wow.
And then I show up and, and my mother and my grandmother are like, oh my gosh, she's the next one to get the ring. So, I mean, talk about, I mean, I still get goosebumps when I tell this story because it's like there was a placeholder for me. There was a space in the family for me all along. So it's
Wow.
not, I mean, the ring is just the token and the symbolism of that, but it's that there was an energetic space in the family for me to come in and join the family.
Yeah. Oh my God, Elizabeth. And it gives me shivers like you, like, because it was your adoptive parents that named you Elizabeth.
Yes,
So totally not
that's right.
not knowing any of this story, any of the history.
I know. Isn't it
Wow.
amazing?
It is amazing.
It's
It,
and plus it's just a really cool piece. I mean, it's got all the amazing filigree work and just the detail of the rose. Forget what they call that, but we don't make jewelry like that anymore.
no,
Um, so
no.
it just yeah, it's so special. I love it.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I was like, oh, I should have had my background be one of my themes is called the family jewels.
Oh yes, that would have been great.
Right? Oh
Boy,
my goodness. So I am so sorry for the loss of your birth mother,
thank you.
and for what you're going through now,
Thank you.
in being surrounded by all this loss. And I am, and I can't wait to read your chapter in Faces of Grief. And I have one question for a follow-up question after the show and tell part of this, and that is, have you thought about where you want this, what you're going to do with this thing that matters when you're dead and gone?
Well, hopefully it will be before I'm dead and gone that we'll be able to pass it on to someone in the next generation in the family.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I know, with all my cousins, I don't think anyone has yet named a child with Elizabeth. So it might be that it's going to have to skip a generation. But I just found out that my brother is expecting his first two grandchildren. And so it's possible that, maybe they would name a child Elizabeth or, who knows,
Who
obviously
knows?
our whole next generation is going to be having more kids. So
Right.
yeah, but I would love to pass it along actually. I mean, because I've had it for well, almost 25 years. I mean, they gave it to me in the very early days of reunion from my aunt. So I'd love to pass it along and know that someone else is enjoying it too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, how
Um,
wonderful. How
and
wonderful.
and the other thing I just wanted to say about the Faces of Grief book, that we're in is my chapter in the book is about the grief and loss inherent in the system of adoption. And
Mhm.
so I talk about my biological mom and talk about my adoptive mom and sort of that whole process. So talking with you about this ring and that, like it sort of brings it all full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that and you in essence you carry that story even further. So with the choice that you ended up making.
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think, to me, this ring represents, strength and resilience and especially with what we're going through here in Asheville now. And I just, when I wear it, I'm reminded of my ancestry and where I come from and a line of really strong women, who had to endure some really challenging hardships. They were farmers a couple generations back. They worked hard and had hard lives, and so they just remind me, I can do anything. So
yeah. It's
yeah,
good in these times to remember
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it is.
So now's your opportunity to share a little bit about your important healing work in the world. I know that there's lots of things that like collided to have you move and do the work that you do in the world. So I welcome you to share with my listeners how they can get to know a little bit more about you, the work that you do, obviously the book, but there's also other things. So this is your time, and I'm going to again go off camera and let you take it away.
Okay. Thank you. So, so I'm a life and business coach. I'm a shamanic practitioner, speaker, and an author. You mentioned my book, so I hope it's okay. I'm gonna share my book. It's called
Absolutely.
Sacred Celebrate. I've actually written two, but the first one was Kindle, but this one is called Sacred Celebrations, and the subtitle is Designing Rituals to Navigate Life's Milestone Transitions. So this book is really about helping us be intentional and meaningful when we're going through a big life change. And so that's really the work that I do in the world as a coach and as a speaker, is helping people to navigate change, to navigate transitions, to navigate loss. I have a coaching program called Solid Ground, which is all about helping people navigate the grief and the grit and the gratitude and the grace that's all inherent when we're going through a difficult time, whether it's a natural disaster like what I'm navigating right now, or whether it's the death of a loved one or the loss of a job or moving or whatever the change is. It could be empty nester, sending your kids off to college, or caring for aging parents, as you know about.
Yeah.
um, but
Yes.
so my role is to really support people through those changes and transitions and really help them connect with the real resilience inside of them. And then also learn new tools for resilience and growth, and change. So, so people can, is it okay if I share my website?
Absolutely. Yes, that was going to be the next follow-up.
Okay.
How can they
Yeah.
reach
So
you?
people can find me in two places, either elizabethbarbour.com, and Barbour is Barbour on the end, or also at sacredscelebrations.com. And Sacred Celebrations, not only do I have the book there, but also I have a jewelry line. And
Oh,
actually, now that I am just getting my footing here back in Asheville, because we were evacuated for a couple weeks, I'm going to be doing some fundraising through the sales of my products and books, which will go towards, hurricane support and relief efforts here in the region. So,
oh,
so
wow.
anybody who orders for me, some of the money will go towards that. So, uh,
Wonderful, Elizabeth.
yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I love it that of course, I'm like, well, of course you have a jewelry line. So I'm like,
Right, to get right. Yeah, well, let me see if I am wearing one. Yeah, so this is one of my pieces. So
ooh,
it's all natural gemstone jewelry, and I have dragonflies and spirals and suns and flowers and a bunch of different, and all different beads and different gemstones. So
oh,
yeah.
wonderful. Oh, that's so beautiful. And of course it goes with sacred celebrations and yeah, so
And
it's so important to, like you said, to have rituals and to be um, thoughtful and
yeah,
mindful of
yes. Well,
what we need to do to support ourselves. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And I really feel like jewelry can be a really wonderful talisman too for people. You know, whether it's something that's been passed on through the generations in your family, or maybe it's a gift from your loved one, from your partner or parents when you were little, or, you know, whatever. But they can really serve as talismans and touch points, reminding us of either being loved or of our strength or of a special time and memory, you know, whatever that is. And I think that when we can adorn ourselves with jewelry, and this isn't just for women either. I mean, there's lots of men I know who have, you know, bracelets or earrings or something that have deep significance and meaning for them. But I think when we can do that, it's sort of like a just a way of bolstering ourselves and reminding us, you know, of the support that we have around us. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's you speak to the reason why I've I've been drawn to objects to share stories instead of story prompts, like asking a story prompt of someone to tell their best childhood memory or whatever. That I think that there really is something different about like holding something
Mhm.
physical, something like you said, where it's a touch, like you're like a little stressed out or whatever, or you're feeling down and you just touch it and it it's that reminder, a physical reminder. Um,
Yes.
so important. So well, I'll look forward to going and seeing all this on your website as well. And yeah, so thank you very much for
Thank you.
sharing your stories of the thing that matters to you. And I'd heard all about it over in our conversations over the last couple of, maybe it's been a couple of months. And I'm glad that you were able to, that you have internet, that you're able to be in a place of, to join me now because I want to get your story out into the world as soon as possible. And
Thank you.
I am yeah, I'm so grateful. And for every all the listeners, just I encourage you to look around your space as Elizabeth talked about, the things that you surround yourselves with, the things you adorn yourself with, the things that you got as a gift that you inherited from somebody, maybe you didn't even know them. These are the things that we keep, the things that matter, and the things that we will leave behind. So these are, in essence, it's our human museum,
Hmm.
and they do have a story to tell. And I encourage you to tell it. So thank you so much again, Elizabeth, and thank you
Thank you.
all the listeners for sharing this time with us. Take good care, everyone.